Bandits came out in 2001, ran 1 hour 58 minutes. We begin at the end. Joe and Terry are surrounded. This last bank robbery is not going well, and it is very nice to look at this bank. Basically all windows. Oh no, shots fired. Then the movie goes to a news report, Criminals at Large, reporting that Joe Blake and Terry Collins went to the host's home the night before the final bank job to tell their side of the story. The movie jumps again, this time to the past. An Oregon State prison, Joe, Bruce Willis, is boxing, and Terry, Billy Bob Thornton, interrupts the sparring session. Terry is complaining the warden is violating his constitutional rights, and Joe says, "We're in prison, that's the point." Terry then says, "Pulling fresh garlic from the commissary is too far." Joe beats his sparring partner bad for taking a cheap shot. While Joe and Terry are walking, Joe says how he wants a good dinner tonight and a nice bed to sleep in. So Joe steals a cement mixing truck. Terry jumps in and they make a break for it. To get out of the prison, Joe must use the big truck he stole to push a pickup truck through the main gate as tower guards are shooting at him. They are getting away. Terry asks Joe how long he's been planning this escape, and his response is golden. It just kind of came up, which is accurate to the way that the story plays it out. Joe must be one of the politest thieves ever. He just took a lady's car, but she, in her distress, forgot to take her purse. So Joe makes sure to give the woman whose car he just stole her purse before he and Terry take off back on the run. Terry, ever the planner, starts going over all the things they'll need while they are out of prison, and money comes up. So Joe stops the car, opens the glove box, and is happy when he finds a yellow highlighter. Terry questions the logic, but Joe can fool a very old security guard into believing that this highlighter is a gun, and so the guard gives Joe his gun, and Joe, he's such a flirt that while he's robbing this bank, he tells one of the bank tellers, he looks her in the eye, she's pretty, and he says, "Oh, there's just never enough time when you're working," which again is funny because his working is bank robbery. Joe takes another completely different car on the way out of the bank, but this time the driver is a guy and he isn't in the mood for what Joe has, and he doesn't fall for any of his tricks. But Terry, he drops the security guard's gun that they had on the way out, and as he's getting into the getaway car, the owner of the car picks up the gun and starts shooting at the bank robbers. The back window is now broken. When the cops arrive, they believe that the man with the gun is the robber, as I guess you might, and so Joe and Terry get a head start on the cops, who don't realize they are the actual robbers. When the cops realize that the man with the gun isn't the robber, but rather a guy who was just around and then subsequently got his car stolen, the cops are in a scramble to get after the real bank robbers. They begin to pursue, but Joe is smart, and he parks the stolen car into a randomly open garage. This feels very much like a scene from the Grand Theft Auto video games. Terry asks Joe if he can go back to prison because everything gets to Terry. He basically is a scaredy cat. Anytime he hears of the possibility of a sickness, boom, he has it. When the outlaws walk into the home that they've parked the car into, they meet Phil and Sherry, two teenagers who lied to their parents to get a loan. Joe and Terry give the kids a hard time about lying. It's rich coming from two crooks who are on the run. After that, the guys mostly just chill and talk about where they want their lives to be, and Joe lays out a plan to open a nightclub in Mexico. Terry says tuxedos and margaritas sounds good. While the cons are outside, Phil tries to get Sherry's dad's shotgun, but Joe comes in and teaches Phil that he isn't as smart as he thinks he is. This sleepover with Phil and Sherry is giving Terry inspiration, and he tells Joe what he thinks they should do from this point on, because if they can rob banks more easily by staying over at the bank manager's home to prevent a lot of the ancillary risks, Terry believes this can be a winning formula. The next morning, Sherry gives Joe and Terry Phil's car keys and coffee for the road. They're now headed toward Rufus to meet up with Joe's cousin, Harvey. Joe says that he's honest and he falls good. Harv wants to be a Hollywood stuntman. That's the reason for the joke about he falls good. And he's such a genuine character. While explaining the robber's side of the story, Terry says, without the front man, they wouldn't be able to make this all happen, because if they aren't seen anywhere but banks, then the front man is seen everywhere but inside the bank, and he's the one who makes everything happen. The movie is just so well written. The night of the first bank manager sleepover is crazy. The bank manager's wife is freaking out, as she should, but she also wants her kids to be nice because we have guests. Well, sort of. Terry is very polite, making conversation about food, while Joe is all business. The next morning, when the bank tellers arrive to work, they ask if this is a joke, and Joe says, no, that's a robbery. Everything goes fairly smoothly. Joe tells Terry and Harv to be careful when... Then we flash to the finish. Again, Joe and Terry are arguing over a woman named Kate, who has not yet been introduced in the story, but both guys are, well, they're sure. They agree that she was the beginning of the end. Then we meet Kate Wheeler. She is in her kitchen performing the song, I Need a Hero, to herself as she's preparing food for her husband. While Kate is doing her thing, Terry's car has run out of gas on a bridge. Mr. Wheeler comes home and informs his wife that all the hard work she put in is basically for nothing, because he has a business dinner planned tonight and she should catch a movie by herself. It is sad to see that the Wheelers live in this beautiful home, but everything's just cold, and Kate's faking being okay, but she's clearly not. Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular here at Mr. Super Oz, I just want to thank you for tuning in to the channel. It exists because I, Oz, from the channel Mr. Super Oz, I wrote a 68-page graphic novel called Everlasting Survivors. Volume 1 is called All Day Long. If you follow the link in the description of this video, you can get yourself hats, shirts, posters, all kinds of fun things. But most importantly, you can get the story itself. And the more people that pick up the story, the greater the chances are that there can be continued adventures with these heroes. If you could, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment. Enjoy. The cops found Terry's broke down car, so he can't go back to it, and while he is trying to get away, Kate is also looking for an escape from her sad life. Kate hits Terry with her car. Terry, who Kate puts in her car, because she's trying to get him help, thinks he is hearing voices when it is just her GPS that he hears, but because Terry is aloof, He doesn't know what he's hearing, and he also doesn't want to go to the hospital. Terry is a convict on the run, so he threatens Kate with a gun. So she says, go ahead. Instead of Terry getting help or hurting Kate, she ends up taking him to meet with Joe and Harv. When they arrive, Harvey has set himself on fire because with his split of the bank robbery, he got himself a little bit of stuntman stuff that he's testing out. When Joe comes eye to eye with Kate, he can't help himself. He instantly compliments her eyes, how one is a bit darker than the other. She is flattered that he noticed. Kate begs to stay with them. She hates her life. Terry and Joe catch up, and Joe tells Terry how he accidentally spent his whole $200,000 cut, mostly on a woman from the Netherlands. Harv unintentionally gives it all away to Kate while they're having dinner, while Kate asks about the kind of criminaling that it is they do. I mean, Harv has the best of intentions, but he accidentally gives it all up. This is some of the best interactions. Joe is offended that Kate speaks ill of what they are doing, and Terry calls out Kate, saying that she isn't depressed, she's just bored. After Joe explains that they only take insured money, no actual people get hurt, Terry says, "Give me a break," when Terry, can easily see that Joe is now flirting with Kate and she's enjoying it. On sleepover number 2, when Joe and Terry tell the bank manager, "We're here to rob your bank," he passes out at the front door. At the bank the next day, Terry now believes that he has the same condition as Larry, the bank manager, and it's amusing because Terry keeps passing out during the bank robbery because his mind just makes him think that he's, narcoleptic or whatever the specific illness is. Harv and Kate are outside waiting when they see a cop pull up to the window of the bank. The cops are at the drive-up window because one of them has a crush on a bank teller, and Terry says that she's out sick. When the team splits up, Terry tells Joe no gambling. The Criminals at Large show is very helpful with moving the story forward while we wait for the next sleepover. Joe is very upset that the news show figured out who he and Terry are, while Terry is mad Harv and Kate became late to the meetup with Joe and Terry because Harv is smitten with a hitchhiker girl that he saw. So much chaos happens after Harv and Kate do end up meeting with Joe and Terry. They get in a car accident and are all caught on camera by a guy who seems to be shooting, a music video maybe. Terry thinks that he's in Scotland after the car accident, but Joe tells him the sirens aren't in his head. And then he tells Kate to get Terry to safety. Joe and Kate obviously fooled around because, Joe is such a flirt and Kate was bored with her life. But now Kate is seemingly trying to get with Terry, and she's getting close with him. Kate explains how her husband kisses so badly that their first kiss led to her jaw dislocating. Terry explains how he fears black and white movies, which is ridiculous but also hilarious. While the team is split up, Harv finds that dream girl hitchhiker, and Joe basically spends 2 weeks angry because he knows Terry and Kate get to play house while he is stuck all alone. Joe is seething when they all get back together. When Joe and Terry talk, Terry asks, "Even if you kill me, can I have her?" Kate pops in, and she doesn't want to pick between the guys. She wants both of them. The whole team is getting so strange, like the dynamic that is. Kate says, "You're outlaws, and I want to be outside the law with you." The news has Kate's husband on, and he is awkward, saying, "The house misses you," as if the house has feelings. He also says, "I hope they're treating you well," while he tells her that he's going out of town, which is, everything about it is just so odd. Like, that's not how you should be acting if you truly believe Joe and Terry kidnapped your wife. I just don't understand this husband character. He says, "I'm going away. Have the kidnappers contact my people." Oh, you know my people. At this point, Joe and Terry seem to accept Kate's desire to be in their outlaw crew. While Joe and Terry talk about paradise and Mexico and this grand spot that they're going to open, Kate says she wants to be the lounge singer for it, and she starts singing. They realize that she's terrible at singing, but they both like her, so, that they can't really be honest, if you will. There's a part of me that wonders if she's singing badly to make a joke of it all, or if the joke is that she's oblivious to it. I'm not really sure. I think Kate is, well, maybe she's in on the joke because, like, when you're that bad at singing, you gotta kind of know, right? I don't know. Maybe she's manipulating both these guys. I don't really quite understand her mindset. The whole boredom leading to bad life choices. Well, although I guess that in and of itself is what they say, what, idle hands of the devil's playground or something like that. So, maybe it's not terribly off base. And the extra odd part is she seemingly gets what she wants. The guys aren't happy about it, but they are sharing her. Now that Joe and Terry are known by the news as the Sleepover Bandits, and word has gotten out that they don't hurt anyone when they show up, it gets a little crazy because this old lady bank manager says, "Joe, Terry, come on in." Things take a turn the next morning at the bank when that same old lady who was pleasant and said, "Come on in," the night before, now refuses to give them money. Again, this is because the lore of the team is that they're nice and don't hurt anyone. The guys don't know what to do. Harv has veered off the mission because he saw that dream girl. Not only did the manager say no, now she is letting cops into the bank early. There's so much tension. Joe and Kate get away, but Terry's left behind, and Kate convinces Joe to go back, for Terry. Once they all get to safety, Harv quits and says that the boys don't even need him now that Kate's here and a part of the team. Both Joe and Terry want Kate to run away with each of them. There is no honor among thieves. I always hear that phrase in Dusty Rhodes' voice when Joe and Terry fight over Kate. She interjects and says that dating Joe and Terry together makes for the perfect man, which is nuts. Time for the big finish, the thing that we've been teasing this whole time. Joe and Terry's last stand at the Alamo Bank. This time, no sleepover, just a good old-fashioned classic bank robbery. Show up, point guns, get money. I've always enjoyed the ending, and legitimately the creators must also, since we begin with the ending, we have the ending in the middle, and we end with the ending. Joe and Terry shoot each other, but now that we are at the end, it is revealed that it's all special effects being set off by Harv and his new dream girl in an ambulance not far away. They're pretending to be EMTs. Kate faints to clear her name and to get the $1 million reward for Joe and Terry. Joe, Terry, Harv, Kate, and the new girl all get away to Mexico, and the movie ends with Harv getting to marry his dream girl, which is a great way to end a fun adventure. So this thing gets that coveted great 5 out of 5 stars. Yes, it was a very strange trip, but in the end, everything comes out in such a way as to where it makes sense in the end. So thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Come back all week for trivia on Tuesdays and Thursday. Come back for Alpha Entertainment Worldwide on Wednesday. And, see you on Friday.